It's time to kick off your shoes, put the kettle on, have a brew, and listen to this week's chat.
Hello everybody and welcome to Menopause Weekly Chat. This week I'm talking to Amanda Kelly, and Amanda Kelly is in a tribute band, but no ordinary tribute band. She is in an Abba tribute band and they are absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let's just get straight in there and let's have a look at the show reel, shall we? You are currently touring around lots of UK theatres, am I right?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
So, yeah, tell me more.
So, this weekend I'm in Wales.
Oh.
Wet Wales.
I love Wales. I love
Caerphilly
Wales.
in Wales.
Oh, brilliant.
And then,
well, if you get there.
Yeah, if we
Weather
get
is
there,
bad.
we might need a little dinghy to get there.
Yeah.
And then I think the week after that we're Birmingham way. I have to do a weekend and then think about the next weekend.
Yeah. One weekend at a time.
Menopause brain.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh, tell me about the menopause brain.
I've got to get rid of information before new information comes in.
Yeah. One thing at a time. It's how do you eat an elephant, isn't it? In tiny chunks, not the whole thing. And I've found with the menopause that's what I've been reduced to. You know, they say women can multitask better than men. Well, I don't know whether that's true or whether it isn't, but what I do know is true of the menopause is that I'm not multitasking as well as I used to at all, and I'm dropping the ball loads, absolutely loads, and this brain fog is just absolutely menacing.
Yeah, it is.
It's debilitating.
And the big thing as well, I think, is admitting that you're dropping the ball.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because as women, we don't like to think we do we?
No, not at all. You mentioned to me that you also, you were in Dubai for some New Year doing your Abba concert.
Yeah, I've been in Dubai 3 New Years now.
3?
3, yeah. This year we're not in Dubai, we're in Halifax.
Okay. Got nothing against Halifax, but Halifax, Dubai.
It's such an amazing experience, and to be outside as well with all the hotels as a backdrop.
Wow.
Behind us, it's brilliant.
And here's Amanda performing in Dubai.
Their stage values are absolutely awesome. The amount of money that's gone into that, and what I absolutely loved was the fact that in big screens behind these guys, you actually had the real Abba characters, and they were singing, but we couldn't hear them singing, we could just hear you singing. And what was brilliant was the precision, because their lips, they're actually singing, you were actually singing live, but your lips were actually in sync with the Abba people behind you, the actual Abba band behind you. How you do that, even now, I'm not sure. I don't know how that's done. It was amazing. Your outfits, and then how many outfit changes do you have?
I think we have about 8.
8
outfit changes,
and they are luxury, high-end, very high value designed dresses.
We try so hard. The boss is so meticulous that he likes to get everything as authentic as we can. So we really study photographs of the costumes, but that has been scaled down. We used to do a lot more.
Wow.
But it's it's hard work having to get changed like in.
You did it so well. You didn't ever seem to be gone off the stage very long, which I loved. I think choreography wise, and the way that you interacted with the audience, you know, was absolutely. It just gave a wonderful atmosphere, and the thing that really blew me away more than anything was your harmonies. Because if I closed my eyes, I wouldn't know if I was listening to you or the Real Abba. And I love Abba, absolutely. I grew up with Abba.
That's a really big compliment. Thank you very much.
They played a huge part in my life. So to get that atmosphere, and for me to believe, almost even looking at you, I thought, gosh, yeah, I could almost believe that I'm watching the Real Abba. That's how good you guys are. I've never seen a tribute band as good, I'll be honest. What we're going to talk about today is dry vaginas. Yeah, I know. And you might think that it's a taboo subject. You might also be surprised that it's the most Googled subject that's related to the menopause. Can you believe that?
Is it?
Yeah. The most Googled. I Google everything, but I never Googled it. I should have Googled it. I never did. But the most Googled subject, dry vaginas, and yet it's taboo. So what's going wrong?
Well, I think it's just one of those things, like you say, it is a taboo subject. I feel like because it's embarrassing to talk about that.
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think most women are embarrassed, and I think the other thing as well is that it's because it's not being talked about. It makes it more taboo, doesn't it? Because like we're all happy now to talk about the perimenopause and about the menopause, and that seems easier and better for all of us because everybody's talking about it. But what they're not talking about is one of the symptoms of the menopause, which is the dry vagina. And I did, because I do Menopause Weekly Live, which is a Facebook group, I did a talk about my dry vagina and the fact that I didn't know what it was. I had no idea.
Typically, the vaginal lining consists of healthy tissue that are several layers thick and naturally moist. A dry vaginal lining becomes thinner and loses natural moisture the older you get and during the menopause, the perimenopause, and will remain so throughout the post-menopause.
So I had my last child, Liberty, and I often wondered whether they damaged me somehow when I had the C-section. And because I'd had 2 C-sections and I'd had like a lot of mental and physical kind of pain really, you know, with miscarriages, not being able to have them, having to have medical interventions to have the children, which meant operations. It kind of just put me off, and I think I'd got to the age where I just thought, well, maybe it is just my age, maybe I'm just old and this is what happens. My aunties didn't talk to me about it. My mum didn't talk to me about it. My grandma, bless her, both grandmas died. Well, one grandma I never saw before I was born, and the other one, unfortunately, she died when I was about 5. So I had nobody to talk to, and none of my friends in the pubs or when we went out and did anything, that it was a taboo subject. Nobody talked about it. So I felt like the problem was exclusively mine. And although it was raised a couple of times when I'd gone to the doctors and they'd done the, I always forget the name of it, you know, this is the menopause. Yet again, they put that thing inside of you to do a smear test. Thank you. The speculum. And I always have to say, oh, it's the smallest one. And then what happened was they couldn't get it in. And they went, oh, that's not right. And I thought, oh, there is something wrong with me. What have they found? And she said, you've got a really dry vagina. And I was like, but what else have you found? You know, that's not a big deal, is it? And she said, we're going to have to put you on some tablets, some estrogen tablets that you insert into yourself. And then you'll have to come back in about a fortnight. And when I went back, these tablets, oh, absolute game changer. It just slid in and out so easily. Pain-free, absolutely pain-free. But then she didn't prescribe them for me.
I was just going to ask you that. Did you stay on that for a while then, or was it just a 2 weeks?
No.
Because that was exactly the same for me. I was given those pessaries as well, because I'm the same as you. You know, using the smallest speculum. But I bleed like you wouldn't believe anything. But I've got a double whammy where I've got a condition called light chain sclerosis.
Right.
And it's a skin condition, and it is very often mistaken for thrush.
Right.
because it itches and
Yeah.
the prescribed Betnovate cream for that, which is an active steroid cream,
Yeah.
which thins the skin.
Oh no.
So what with
That's what you don't want.
thinning skin and dryness as well from the menopause.
Yeah.
It's
And is that the best they can do?
yeah, and like I say, it's just so painful down there. And sometimes all I need to do is just wipe myself with the tissue when I go for a wee and I bleed.
And are you not been? Have you been referred to see like a consultant?
I've been referred to the consultant. They did all these things, gave me the pessaries, and discharged me. I could have cried when I got the letter because my symptoms haven't gone away.
No.
But my symptoms haven't fit their diagnosis.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've just...
Well, they've let you down,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
They've let you down.
So I'm back on a waiting list now. Well, I went back to my GP. They've referred me back to gynecology again. But because of everything that's going on, all the backlog, and I still haven't received a letter, so it's just...
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking,
really.
yeah, because, like I say, with this condition as well,
Yeah.
and I feel like this is my normal,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be. Why
No, it
should I have to
shouldn't.
put up with it?
Yeah.
I'm getting all emotional.
No, absolutely. Do you know what? Nobody should have to put up with all of this. And I get really cross because I don't think the government are doing enough. It should just be standard on the curriculum in schools. We should be educated. We should know, girls and boys should know what's to come, what's ahead of us. Because when we know what's ahead of us, we can plan for it and we can put things in place. You know, it might just be that somewhere in the depths of their mind they go, oh, this dry vagina, they talked about that in school. I think I know what this is. I'll Google it. I'll start to do some research. I'll go and have a chat to the doctor. I'll get some medication and then I'll have a great quality of life till the day I die. You know, but where's the trigger going to come from? Who's it going to come from if we don't all talk about
That's
it?
it. We've got to
Because
talk about
the government don't seem to be doing enough. And I just think I'm really shocked, and this is what really shocks me, is that GPs can opt to have menopause training. Why isn't menopause training for all GPs mandatory?
It should be.
Because they're not all singing from the same hymn shape. I've got evidence that suggests, and so do other GPs that are on Facebook, are actually saying that GPs don't all know enough about the menopause and they are making mistakes. And that's creating myths and misdiagnosis. And people like you are just being missed, really. And it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And why should you have to pay to go privately?
Exactly.
You know, you've paid into the health system.
But like you say just then, GPs don't seem to know enough. I think when you do pay private, they know a bit more.
Oh, they know a lot.
They know a lot more, and
Yeah.
you get a lot more answers. But
Yeah.
we pay into the NHS, so
Why don't they know enough?
yeah.
They should be. You know, I've kind of just started to get into it because, I mean, I've been menopausal and perimenopausal since I was about 42, I reckon. And I'm now 61. But I'm only just delving into it. And you don't need to be Einstein to be able to understand all of this information. It's not that difficult.
No.
So it wouldn't cost a fortune to just roll it out across the nation and make sure all GPs know what they're talking about. It just wouldn't.
No.
So I do feel let down by that. I was quite disappointed when I read this as well. It says 8 out of 10 women post-menopause will still have dry vaginas. 8 out of 10. When you've the post-menopause, so these are women that go, menopause is over for me. I've come through it and I'm fine, but they're not fine. But do they not realise that this dry vagina is still part of their menopause? So they've not come through it.
No, and like I just said, they probably think that's their normal.
That's their normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, it says here that because I Google everything. If you know anything about me at all, I'm always Googling, researching, and trying to make sure that it's up to date. So all of this that I've Googled this week, ready for this chat, is all up to date and relevant information that I've just searched on really good search engines like the NHS. But it says here that some women assume it's inevitable. So yeah, I mean, you would do, wouldn't you? Because we don't get enough information. So I've got a dry vagina. It's just all down to age. That's what happens. But to be fair, that's where I was.
Yeah.
I did think that. I thought I've just got old, and I'll just have to. I'll put up with it because I've had enough medical intervention. I don't want people faffing with me down there. And I think a lot of women think that as well.
Also, do you think that if you was to go to the GP with that, you would maybe not go because you would think, well, I'm not the only person going through it and maybe it is normal?
Yeah. I do. I'll tell you what, just on the back of that, I did go to the GP and I did say that intercourse was painful. And you won't believe this, but she did a job. She referred me to the hospital. I didn't see a consultant. I saw a nurse who said, because you've literally just had a baby, what we'll do is we'll give you, not a dildo, what do you call it?
I know what the word is.
Yeah.
But
Here we go. Here we go again. Menopause. The word's not coming
and
to me.
because I had some as well. Dilator.
Thank you. Oh gosh, you're not as menopausal as me because you're rescuing me such a lot today. Thank you. A lot better than a dildo. A dilator. And I came away with the biggest dilator. I couldn't even insert it. I was like, what planet are you on? You know. And then a medium-sized one, which I'll be honest with you, I still can't get that inside of me, and a tiny one, which I could manage. And I tried it, but these dilators stuck to the inside of my vagina. They stuck to it, and at one point I couldn't get it out.
Oh, God,
now
that was frightening.
Yeah, it was, and it hurt, and it did bleed when I pulled it away. So it pulled some skin away with it. Now, I never got re-referred, and it's my own fault, but like other women, we're all in the same boat, and I bet they do the same thing. I didn't go back to the GP. Now, the only time that it was resurrected was when they tried to get the speculum in, and they couldn't, and they put me on the pessaries, which worked, and then they took me off them, and they said you can just get a cream from Boots the chemist and use that.
There are several treatment options for vaginal dryness. Some, such as vaginal moisturisers or lubricants, are available without a prescription, whilst others require a prescription. These include a vaginal estrogen cream, a tablet, a capsule, a ring, and even oral medication.
We're going to have a little biology lesson in a minute,
right.
which is really important, I think. But yeah, so just going back to that. So some women assume it's inevitable, whilst others will perform enough internet research to warrant a thesis. Now, you know, honestly, there's all of this research, and yet 8 out of 10 women still have dry, even though they've researched it, they're not actually acting on it. And it says only 7% of women receive treatment. Only 7% of women actually receive treatment. And thank goodness I'm one of them now, because it's amazing. It's so different.
Anyone with the vagina can experience dryness, but it's most common in those who have gone through the menopause. Research shows it affects roughly 15% of women before the menopause and 40 to 57% of post-menopausal women. And yet most women with vaginal dryness don't still want to talk about it with their professional healthcare provider.
When does the vagina become dry? Do you know?
In the perimenopause then?
Yeah, absolutely. How old do you think you would be?
Well, I know when I started, I was at 37. I went into premature menopause at 37. And I'm 50 now. So I've been quite a while.
Yeah.
I believe that this is the reason why I went into menopause. So I used to have really bad periods, and I had endometriosis and fibroids that found out after I had my third. And so I was terrible with the periods, and I'd been sterilised after I had Daisy, and then they to try and stop my periods being so heavy and bad, they fitted the Marina coil.
Oh.
Well, I bled for 17 weeks continuously,
Right.
no break. So I was anemic, I just wasn't very well. So then, to stop me from bleeding, she gave me a mini pill as well. So I got the coil and a mini pill.
Dear me.
That didn't work either. So then they said, we'll give you an ablation. And so that is where they burn the lining of your womb.
Oh gosh.
It's not with a
Yeah.
torch or anything. They like fill a balloon with scalding water
Oh,
inside, and I think I've got this right. I'm sure that is, and you have an ablation. But before you have it, they give you some tablets that give you the symptoms of menopause.
Right.
So I had these tablets for 2 weeks before I had the ablation, and then I had that, and I never had a period again
Oh gosh.
after that. And then the symptoms started. I put on weight, which I was always tiny. So that was a big red flag for me. And if I did put a few pounds on, I could lose it like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't.
That's definitely the
Yeah.
menopause. Yeah.
And night sweats.
No.
And I went to the GP and I said, I've got this happening. Could it be menopause? And she said, you're too young. You're 37, you're too young. And
Oh,
I had
gosh.
to push her for a blood test.
Yeah.
She says,
Yeah.
well, I'll give you a blood test, but I do think you're too young. So I had this blood test, went back, and it was a different doctor that I saw. It was a male doctor. And he said to me, looking at your blood levels, you should be sweating like mad. I said, I am.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So I wasn't wrong. Like you said earlier, you know your own body.
Yeah. You do. So, and you know the cause of this then,
Yeah.
potentially, all of that
Yeah.
treatment, and such a shame because the Marina coil it's pushed.
It works
On
for
us,
so
isn't
many
it?
people,
It
but it
does.
didn't work for me. I
Yeah.
even had to, because my uterus is tilted.
Oh, mine is.
I even had to
Mine
be put to sleep to have it fitted.
Oh gosh. Well, they can't even insert it into me because I'm so tight.
Yeah.
I have to have it done under a general anaesthetic.
Yeah, I was under
Well,
general.
I'm not doing that. They've said to have another general anaesthetic to have it fitted. Well, in 5 years' time, how are they going to get it out? And how are they going to refit it? And I just think, I don't want general anaesthetics. The Marina coil's not for me. And to be fair, it's not for everybody. And I've heard some horrendous stories about the Marina coil. So, although, it's great for some, it's not great for everybody at all.
No, it
You know,
didn't work for me at all.
They've gone, some people have told me that it got lost inside the womb. It just floated around in there and gave them agonising stomach pains, and they had to have an anaesthetic, and they had to have an operation. They had to go in and try and find it and pull it out. Another woman, she had a UTI that they could not get rid of, and the only way they could get rid of it was by removing the Marina coil. They said they think that was the cause of it. That was the thing that had got infected.
Yeah.
And I just think, oh no, I had a lucky escape not having that.
you did.
I'm so glad that I didn't.
And like you said earlier, people that think they're out of the menopause, when does that happen, and what happens? Because I've been on HRT for 7 years, and I thought, I'm done. That's it. I'm out the menopause now. So I stopped taking it.
Right.
What an idiot. My symptoms came back tenfold.
A friend of mine, she said, "Oh, I'll take the HRT. It'll get me over the hump, and then when I get to 70, I'll just come off it." Which she did, and she couldn't believe. She said, surely it should have an end, period. And all of her symptoms came straight back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, my GP said to me, you can be on HRT to the grave.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I intend to be, 100%. Why not? Why not? And the reason why I say why not is because, what worries me is that women say, I'm done. I'm in post menopause now. I've got through it. Some women go, I got through it and I never had any symptoms. There was nothing. I was absolutely fine.
I envy them women.
Well, you may well envy them, but by not taking estrogen, so by not having your HRT, you're more at risk of cardiovascular disease, you're more at risk of dementia, you're more at risk of, I can't remember, there's quite a few other things.
Osteoporosis.
Well, that's the big one.
Yeah.
That's the big one for me, because I'm quite sporty and I love paddleboarding. And I go to the gym for my bones and I do all sorts of stuff. All the things that I do will help, but they're not really going to help in the way that estrogen can help your bone density. And I'm concerned because a friend of mine, and she won't come on camera and she doesn't want to talk about it, but she's in such a bad way. There's like, say, 5 scales on your osteoporosis. She's at the worst one, so say it's 5, she's 5, which means basically if she trips over, she can just break her ankle. If she falls, she can just break her back. Her bone density is just so hollow. And she said, and she's a really well-educated woman, she was a teacher across 2 failing schools and actually brought them up. So she was like a super head. And her words to me, and I always think about this woman, she said, if somebody had just told me about HRT, I should have gone on HRT. When I kept saying I'm not having any signs and symptoms, I'm sailing through it, I'm absolutely fine.
But she still wished she'd had that.
But are you fine? Because, if you just take cardiovascular disease, you're 50% more at risk if you're not taking your estrogen.
Yeah.
There's evidence out there. So I think, for me, it's a really, really big one. But just going on to our little biology, this I find quite fascinating. Do you know the difference between the vagina and the vulva?
So the vagina is the inside and the vulva's the outside.
Yeah, absolutely, spot on. But I'll be honest with you, when I started reading Davina McCall's book, and she went, a lot of people don't know the difference. I didn't know the difference until I stopped to think. So, are they the same thing? Is what I thought. I genuinely thought that. But yeah, the vagina is the inside, so it's the muscular tube leading to the cervix of the uterus, and the vulva is anything on the outside of the vagina. So it's things like your pubic hairs, the clitoris, and the vaginal opening. And then you've got your urethra, which is the duct used to transport pee from the bladder to the toilet, and then your anus, which is obviously where the poo comes out. But one of the doctors, I don't know whether were you ever on Steph's Packed Lunch? When Dr. Louise Newton was on talking about the menopause. She is amazing. I absolutely love what she has to say. She makes it really simple. She knows her stuff. So, if I was to put 2 peas in a pod, I'd put Davina McCall in with Dr. Newton. Yeah. Probably Dr. Newton, I should say, would know more. So she's not only she's a doctor, but she is a specialist in the menopause. One of the interesting things that she said recently in a YouTube video that I was watching was that one of the signs of a dry vagina is if you have any vulva changes. Would you know if you've got any vulva because it's like we all get told how to check the lumps, don't we? So we have to check our breasts. Do you ever get a mirror and look at your vulva?
Yeah.
Really?
I do. Yeah.
I don't.
Don't you?
No.
Because going back to this condition that I've got, this lichen sclerosis, that appears as like white, shiny on your vulva.
Does it?
Yeah, and it looks very stretched,
Right.
and it like tears and.
Oh,
And it's awful. It's an awful condition, and then, like I say, coupled with the menopause dry vagina. So yeah, I do look in the mirror.
and what are you supposed to do when these appear?
I just use the cream, the Betnovate. I try and only use that when it's at its worst. You know, when it's
Yeah.
really itchy and it's sore.
Yeah.
Try and use it then. But I do use. I've got a little bottle next to my toilet of moisturiser. That the doctor did give me, and I try and keep it moisturised.
So to get this right, so you're suffering with the dry vagina,
Yeah,
and what's this other thing called?
lichen sclerosis. Yeah.
And is that only on the outside or on the inside as well?
It can be on the inside,
Where's yours?
on the outside.
Only on the outside.
Yeah,
Can it move? Could it?
it could do. You can get patches in different places in your body as well, apparently, but it's
Okay.
mainly in the
Right.
genitals.
So ideally, you need to get rid of that because
But I'll never get rid of that. It's like it's a skin condition, you know, like
you don't
eczema.
get rid of it at all.
No, I was diagnosed with that when I was pregnant with my middle child, and he's 22 next month.
And do you know what causes it? How do you get this?
It's just like a skin condition, you know, like you would get eczema,
Right.
just like that. But it is very commonly mistaken for thrush
Right.
because of the itchiness.
Yeah. But have they said like because of hormonal changes, this is possibly one reason why you might have got this?
They haven't said that, but I do think when when my hormones change, it does get worse. Like when I was having periods, before I came on, it would be worse and it would be itchy.
Right.
I don't think that's proven. That's just a symptom that I found for me.
Well, we know our own bodies better than anyone, don't
Yeah.
we? What I forgot to mention, yeah, you're absolutely not far off here because our dry vaginas can start at the age of about 35. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, because our estrogen starts to decline at 35, so we are more likely to start to see the symptoms. So once our estrogen starts to decline, 35, and you became menopausal at 37, I became menopausal at 42. So, you know, this is slightly worrying. What worries me as well is that my daughter might follow the same path as me, and she may well be menopausal younger rather than later.
Yeah.
And I read a report recently, and it said that young people in their early 30s should start to think about freezing their eggs. I know. Can you believe that? I just think, who's going to do that then? The NHS? Because I don't think so.
No.
It's all right, reading these reports and worrying youngsters, and I wouldn't want my daughter to know this, but start thinking about freezing your eggs at 30. They asked me at the hospital at 42. Do you want to freeze any of your eggs? Yeah, absolutely. And they were prepared to do that, but we'd already been down a long process and a bit of a tricky road. So I could understand that, but can you imagine a 30-year-old going in and saying to the NHS, I'm just concerned because I might be menopausal at 35. I don't have a fella just yet. I've got a career and I don't really want to get married that young. So could I have my eggs frozen, please?
They'd say, "There's the dog."
They'd be like, how much funding do you think the NHS has got, love?
Oh yeah, and let me tell you this. So I did go to the doctors, and they referred me to the sexual health clinic for it.
No.
And so I carried on like that for a few years, not going back there, but just carrying on thinking that this was normal, itching and what have you.
Yeah.
And then when I was pregnant with Fraser, I was taken in hospital because my eldest one was premature, and then I had trouble with the middle one as well. So I was in hospital, and I said to her, I'm really itchy down there. I think I might have got thrush.
Oh, yeah.
So she gave me an examination, and it was this lady doctor, this gynaecologist in the hospital
Finally
that said,
pinpointed
yeah, you've
it.
got this condition.
Oh. And they've just said to you, it's not ever going to go.
No,
So they've just got to manage it.
Yeah.
Have you done research on it?
Oh yeah, done lots of research. And it just says Betnovate. They can give you like some injections in it, and I think maybe that will be my next step.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think if I was to have injections down there, I probably would want to go private. Because I'd want a pre-injection to numb it all first. And I'll be honest with you, I've had a lot of injections on the NHS, and they don't tend to give you a pre-injection that numbs it first.
No.
You're lucky if you get a cream, absolutely. So, looking at the causes, and I mean, some of this will apply to you, I think, Amanda, because if we just look at the inside, so if we look at your vagina at the moment and mine, I mean, mine's in a lot better shape because of the medication, but I'll talk to you about that soon. So the causes are dehydration for the dry vagina. I mean, we've said it's the menopause. Yeah, menopause is here. Let's just cross that out. Dehydration. How many glasses of water do you reckon you drink in a day?
Nowhere near enough.
Because they say about 8, don't they?
Oh gosh, I'm lucky some days if I only have one.
Well, I have about 3 coffees in the morning, and then I'm dehydrated because I'm absolutely gagging for a drink round about 4 o'clock, and then I realise that I've not had one. Well, really, they say that's too late. If your body's absolutely gagging to have a drink, you're dehydrated at that point.
Yeah. But also, because if I did drink a lot, it'd mean I wee a lot.
Yeah.
So then I'm wiping myself and making myself sore.
Yeah. That is an issue, and like I often think, the age that I'm at, if I'm going out, I need to know if I'm drinking a lot of water, where are all the toilet stops?
Yeah.
Because you can't just knock on somebody's house and go, I'm really desperate for a pee. Can I use your loo? You know,
And
you
it's not
can't.
acceptable to do it in a bush either, is
Not
it?
really. No. Not in a built-up area anyway. I mean, I've peed behind some bushes, I'll tell you before now. And aging, well, we've already said that, haven't we? Aging. So, and then emotional issues. So that's why I said, was there anything that might have triggered for you on an emotional side? But basically, I mean, what is a dry vagina? And a dry vagina it's vaginal tissue that just becomes thinner and thinner over time. So apparently there's lots of layers, and those layers just become thinner and thinner, and it looks like your vulva has just got very, very paper thin, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And you said that the medication that you use is that just to take away the itchiness and the pain? But did you say earlier on that it makes it thinner?
Yeah. Steroid cream makes it thinner.
Oh, so that's a massive catch-22 for you.
Yeah.
Because that's not helping you at all.
No.
In fact, that's just making it
possibly
worse.
Yeah. But
So you
I
need
think
to be
they're like
saying
that
that.
with me. They just don't know what to do. So I think, like you said earlier, the private route's going to be the route for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, really, today all we can talk about is the dry vagina, isn't it? Because I don't have the medical expertise to talk about. I can't even say it. Remind us, what is it?
Light chain sclerosis.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you know it, because no, absolutely not. So you'll be pleased to know that you got a 10 out of 10 for your biology.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get anything really. I was rubbish. Yeah, I just thought the vulva and the vagina were the same thing. So what do I know? But do you know what? I work on the basis that if that's what I think, there'll be other people out there
Of course
that
they will,
think
yeah.
that. And it's not until you start to talk about these things that we all become better educated, and that leads back to the government not doing enough, because it needs to be in the education system, that we all need to know this stuff. It's so important.
Yeah,
So,
well, they tell kids about periods, don't they, at school? So why
Yeah.
not talk about this?
and sex education.
Yeah.
And, boys need to know that when we become menopausal, they're dealing with a different...
Run for cover.
run for cover. They're dealing with a different personality, a different person. And I do wonder, and I do wonder this, and I think I'm probably right, but I've Googled it, believe it or not, but I've Googled divorce rates in the UK, and a lot of divorce rates are around about, 50, 55 years of age.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, a lot of my daughter's parents were divorced, and she raised that. She was like, gosh, Mum, at high school, you and Dad are the exception. You're the only ones that are still married. And I just think the menopause does impact. It impacts on your relationship. It impacts on your husband. It's absolutely impacts on us as the female race. We have a really bad time. It's terrible. But if the lads in school aren't taught about this, how can they support us? And doesn't that make breakups in marriages much easier, because they don't have that awareness and they don't know what we're going through? They can't support us if we don't talk about it. And if they're told in schools that, our vaginas might get dry, then that's something that you can work on together with your partner, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just think we're missing a trick. I mean, what do you think about divorce rates and whether there is a correlation?
I've never thought about it before, but you saying that, I can see it, because a lot of my friends are getting divorced, like now, and you think, you've been together all this time. What's the problem?
Why now? Yeah.
But I mean, my husband's been amazing with me. Obviously, because, like I say, we can't do it because it's just so painful. And I believe we go to a hotel because we're like, well, at least if we make a mess on the ship.
Yeah.
Well, we take a blanket with us so we don't make a mess. But because, honestly, it's like a slaughtered animal sometimes. It's that bad. And it's so painful. It's not enjoyable for me at all.
No.
And I feel sorry for him. And when I last went to the hospital, I got really upset, and I said, I maybe sound really shallow about saying, oh, well, I can't have sex with my husband. And it's not just about the sex.
No.
But that is a big part of a marriage and a relationship.
Yeah.
And I said I feel embarrassed saying this, because it's not just about sex, but if you talk to any bloke, it is a big thing for them, and it is for women as well. I mean,
absolutely.
saying that, when you do get into the menopause, your libido
we do
walks
lose
out
our
with your
libido,
periods,
it does,
doesn't it?
absolutely. It's like, oh, where are you going?
Yeah.
Come back! I need you, Echo.
I mean, if George Clooney stood here in front of me now with just a
wouldn't
big
bother-
leaf on, it wouldn't bother me.
No, it wouldn't me either. I'd be like, yeah, it's George Clooney. Can I have a selfie? But I wouldn't be going, I want to rip your clothes off. I mean, what's wrong with us? But that's how this affects us. And you're absolutely right. And do you know what? I just think you're so brave to actually say what you've just said on camera. And I think, the more women can do this, the better. And I think we need to have this degree of honesty. I was in a toilet chatting to somebody about the menopause, as you do. And this woman was saying, oh God, I'm very sore underneath, and I'm actually bleeding, not through a period, but she was sore and she was bleeding. And I said, oh gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that. And we got chatting, and she said, my husband he just cannot process this. She said, he's nagging me to have sex. And he's like, what's wrong with you? And she said, he just doesn't get it. And I walked away, and I just thought, how sad.
That is sad.
How sad, because I'll be honest with you, I had the sore vagina for years, and we reduced the frequency of intercourse because it's no fun for me, because it's just, all it brings is pain. It's painful, really, really painful. And unless you've had it, nobody understands it. But my husband was really, and because I'm in a loving relationship with a man that wants to support me as a yo, and we talk about it, and he didn't want to hurt me. He didn't want to hurt me because he loves me that much. But I tried to make the effort, but gave in, because I went off sex because it was painful. And I think that you get this mental block as well, because
you get to a point where you do it to please them, and it's not pleasing
no, it's
you
not.
at all.
You get no pleasure from it
whatsoever,
and I don't think they do 100%.
No, and
either.
my husband said to me, look, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
as long as you're all right.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to be in pain.
Yeah, and that's amazing. These are the sort of husbands that women need out
but
there.
Then you think, well,
that's
you have got needs.
Yeah.
I hope you're not going to
go somewhere else, and you can't help but think that.
No, and I have thought, do you know what? I wouldn't blame him if he did. I'd kill him.
Yeah.
I'd kill him.
You'd understand.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I don't think there's. I remember feeling like I was literally being stabbed by a sharp knife.
Do you know how I explained it? When you've had a baby and the shoulders graze you.
Well, I had C-sections.
Oh, well, 2 of mine were natural and
Right.
1 was a C-section.
Yeah.
But I explained it when you give birth and the baby's shoulders graze you inside of your vagina. That's how it feels to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nobody wants that.
No.
Not at all. Very, very painful. But, I mean, let's have a look at what the lack of estrogen does to the vagina, because I think that's really important. And then I want to concentrate more on help, what's out there. So we'll have a look at some strategies as well, and some of the things that I don't bother doing now because it's quick and easy. I just stick a tablet there twice a week and it does the job. So I'll talk to you about that as well. But let's just have a look at the lack of estrogen and what to look out for, because I think this is really important that people know what to look out for. So we've talked about it, this sore vagina, but it might just not be just the vagina. It could be the vulva as well, or it could be just the vulva. So things that, when we talk about a sore vagina, it might not be the vagina. Could be the vulva. You've already talked about it, itching and your irritation. And I don't think there's anything worse than itching and irritation, because I kept getting UTIs, urinary tract infections.
And is that part of it?
That's part of it, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, UTIs. And they increase over time through the lack of estrogen, dry vaginas, UTIs, and bleeding. And my UTIs, if I didn't get the antibiotics within an hour of my UTI starting, I would just bleed every time I urinated into the toilet.
Wow.
Just masses and masses of blood. Absolutely masses. And the burning, I'd get burning sensations. So lack of estrogen, going to the loo a little bit more often. Difficulty sitting down because it's painful. I guess that's...
Same.
You as well. Certain clothing would irritate it.
Yeah, I don't very often wear jeans. I've got one today.
I know, jeans are a killer.
Yeah, I very rarely, and especially with my job travelling.
Yeah.
I can't wear tight clothing to sit and drive hours and hours because that irritates.
Cotton, they say.
Yes.
Cotton underpants, well, pants. Going to the toilet more often can get a little bit more tricky because it can lead to the waterworks not working as well as they should. I mean, this is all part of the menopause. So then we get to look at the pelvic floor exercises that I guess not many of us have time for. But should do, because we all know.
Yeah.
You have your babies and you get told, got to do your pelvic floors. Well, I'm sorry, but when am I supposed to do my pelvic floor
My
exercises?
pelvic floor needs laminating.
My pelvic floors hit the floor, I can tell you, honestly. But what I have noticed, and I did notice it, we got a trampoline for the kids when they were younger. I used to love trampolining as a kid myself, so they'd like gone to school, and I thought, oh, I'm going to increase my exercise.
Did you pee yourself?
Yeah, I did. I did. And I just thought, oh, I'll run to the toilet. Went to the toilet, went back on it and peed again. I was like, what's happening? And so I left it and thought, don't know, maybe just didn't get rid of it all. Went back on it the next day and peed and thought, I've got too old, I can't trampoline anymore. But I knew that was doing my pelvic floor.
Yeah.
But it can also lead to, get this, stress incontinence. So, and I think mine has. I do, honestly.
Oh, we've got all these joys of getting older, haven't we? Isn't it
Do you know?
wonderful?
But you wouldn't put that down, would you, to the menopause? No. I mean, stress, incompetence, incontinence. And so, I mean, the other day, somebody said something and I just burst out laughing. Do you know one of those, like, your stomach's just going, and it was a really... And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, stop. And literally, I'd peed my pants. Tiny bit. But I was like, oh!
I do, and when I sneeze, I do a bit.
Sneezing, I've got that down here, and lifting heavy equipment. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So
I'm the same, yeah.
So I'm self-diagnosing that I've got stress incontinence. But do you know what? I don't need to go to a consultant, because there's books on it, there's YouTube videos on it, and all they're going to say is pelvic floor exercises. Well, you know what, with my healthy diet, looking at my food that I should be having, trying to do for my bone density and osteoporosis, using weights, going to the gym, cycling, doing my Pilates, and now I have to do pelvic floors.
You've not got time for that.
Well, you might as well I'll just have this as my prison, because I won't go anywhere, because I won't have time. Oh, good grief. So yeah, we're going to pee a lot, our libido's gone. Well, this is the other thing. This is what worries me as well. So with all of this, and with the dry vaginas and the reduced intercourse because we are in pain, it is going to cause us some anxiety. And so you need therapy really to, it's all right, the tablet's working, and the tablets work fine for me, but I still associate sex with pain. So my brain needs to be retuned so that my libido comes back. And who's going to do that for me? How do I do that? And I need to make time. I need to YouTube it. I need to look at how I can stop the link between intercourse and pain. Yeah. And if I can crack that, then we should be back on track anytime soon, and that would be lovely. But that can lead to depression, both for your partner and for you. And I think you have to be really careful, Amanda, that you are kind to yourselves in the process. Yeah. That you take time out and you still do special things together, like you go to a hotel and maybe just cuddle, and maybe just, use some sex toys and do a hand job, or it sounds terrible, doesn't it? But so that you're not in any pain. But sometimes just actually having the time without the kids, just having some peace, some quiet, some time for you in a hotel room, just to cuddle and talk is sometimes therapy in itself, isn't it?
It is,
I think. And, I've put on here, I've put anxiety, depression, and sometimes, unfortunately, it does lead to suicide. There are women that are menopausal that just can't hack it anymore, and they commit suicide.
That is just sad, isn't it? It's
beyond.
It's so sad to think that they would get to that point.
Well, this is why I want to do these videos. This is why I'm doing the podcasts and putting things out on YouTube and Facebook, because when I read Davina McCall's book, she actually said, I want you to go out and I want you to talk about all of this stuff, and the more you share, the more support that you give others, it can only be a good thing. So you can be an ambassador in your own home, and I've got Davina's book here, because for me, this was the game changer. This was my lifeline. This
I haven't
changed.
read that.
It's an amazing book.
Is it?
Well, it's Davina McCall and Dr. Naomi Potter, and the information in it is from Davina's own point of view, what happened to her, how she wants to support people. There's loads of women in here and their stories. Their stories are
And I bet
so
it's surprising
powerful.
how many stories are similar.
Oh, absolutely. The crossover and the thread.
Yeah,
is
because you think you're on your own, don't you?
You do.
And I do, especially because
Yeah.
I have not come across anybody else with this condition that I've got.
Well, you see, that's bad in itself, because if, a consultant should be giving you, like alcohol, AA, alcohol and, what is it, Anonymous or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll go, oh, right, you're an alcoholic, here's a support group. Well, why can't menopausal women be referred to something like that, so we can all talk together so that we don't fail? And certainly for your actual condition, there must be a group of people that can get together and talk about that and support one another, and be open and honest and say, look, this is how my marriage survived and this is what I'm doing and this works for me, or I'm really struggling and I really need some help right now. The people that have been through it and understand it can go, right, well, we've been where you are now and I can tell you X, Y and Z. You're going to get through it, basically.
Yeah.
You need to be asking that of your consultant, don't you?
Yeah.
That there's got to be, you have to, because this anxiety leads to depression, leads to suicide, and it's a very fine line that we tread. I've literally had a suicide hit me just over a week ago. We're not sure what the reasons were, but this person, I do know that the bloods have been looked at. So there are people saying, could it have been the menopause?
Oh, God.
But this person, I think 59, just decided to end their life, and what that brought the people around that person has just been just mentally grueling. The questions that you ask of yourself, could I have done more? I should have done more. How did I not know this? How did I not see the signs? I've been through her Facebook messages. I've been through her own Facebook page to see if she posted something and I've not picked it up, reading between the lines. How did we fail this person? And I really don't want to see suicides because of the menopause.
Yeah.
I don't. If we can stop it, then that's what we've got to do.
Yeah.
People have got to reach out. So I did have a few questions for you, and I think, we've talked about, call it vaginal dryness, but it's also known as vaginal atrophy, and also people call it GSM, which basically means, and we've talked about it, is the thinning of the tissue around the vagina. And in your case, it's on the vulva as well. Yeah, you've very kindly said how old you are. So, you've got a long way to go with this menopause. So it's about finding remedies and treatments and trying to make this better for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we've covered most of that. And I just want to get onto the help stuff, because there is a lot that can be done. Exercise and eating the right food types is a key. And we all know that because it's the key to a healthy lifestyle. But I was going to mention this a bit later, but I'm going to mention it now, because I don't know whether you've ever heard of, I don't know whether I'm saying it right, phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens?
I've never heard of that.
I'd never heard of it either, but apparently they can help us with our dry vaginas and with our bone health. So they can help. And I just think, I've piqued a little bit of interest, because we know that HRT gives us the estrogen that helps to get rid of the dry vaginas, and it reduces this osteoporosis in later life. So let's delve in, just have a look at what this says. So They may lower the risk of heart disease by improving cholesterol levels and promoting arterial health. They can help us with our weight loss and metabolic health. They help us with our skin, and they also help to boost our immunity. Okay. Now, interestingly, these can be obtained through food and tablets. Do you want to know what the foods are?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I'm very interested.
Right, well, and I want to know from you, what are these? So, how many seeds a day do you eat?
I don't. Unless I have seeded bread.
Okay.
With a sandwich.
So, a good reason to only buy seeded bread then. Yeah, okay. So, what do you have for breakfast?
Weetabix.
So,
with
if you
skimmed
had...
milk.
Right, so if you had a Tupperware dish with a load of seeds in, could you put them on your Weetabix?
Oh, easy, yeah.
Easy, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What about if you had a salad? Could you put a load of them on your salad?
Yeah.
Easy. What about if you had a casserole or a stew? Put them in
Put
there?
them in, yeah. Well,
Why
they
not?
can go on anything, can't they, really?
Of course they can. So you need to get your seeds, your grains, and your flax seeds, especially your flax seeds. But vegetables, eat loads of vegetables. Do you eat enough?
Yeah, I do eat quite a lot of veg, yeah.
Do you eat all the different coloured varieties?
Yeah.
Great.
And I cook fresh for every night.
Brilliant, brilliant. And did you know that frozen is as good as fresh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's all locked in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's locked in. Well done. Soy?
Don't eat much soy.
No, because do you eat meat?
Yeah.
You're a meat eater.
Yeah.
So, okay, so like things like this I looked at and I was like, oh, they're like for vegans and vegetarians. So I read soy. I was like, oh, I don't do soy. Tofu.
No.
Don't do that. Soy milk.
Sometimes I do. Depends what fad I'm on.
Yeah, I know. And this is it, isn't it? What fad. And these legumes. I don't even know what a legume is. Do you?
Are they like lentils and things?
Oh, I don't know. Well, if they are lentils, I do eat those, but I don't know. I'm going to have to Google legumes. But you need to be replacing your meat with some soya and tofu at least once a week. Then, don't you? You need to try.
Do I?
You can make it tastier. you do. And then split peas. Do you eat split peas?
No.
No. Pinto beans.
No.
Alfalfa.
No.
No, what is it?
I don't know.
I don't either. And clover sprouts. Do you know what they are?
No.
No. Okay. Right, but you're gonna love this next one, and you'll recognise it. Red wine.
Oh, I love red wine.
Well, it's brilliant for you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It doesn't say how many, but I'm going with one a night. Should be fine.
Bottle?
A bottle? No, probably not a bottle. Grapes. Well, obviously, you're gonna get your grapes, aren't you, from your red wine, but grapes as well. Have you ever frozen grapes?
Yeah.
Aren't they brilliant?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I love
on the
frozen
night time when
grapes.
you're like, oh, I need some chocolate or something sweet, and you just go and get your bowl. They're really tasty, but it takes you a long time to eat them, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that. And then it says some berries, but particularly blueberries and cranberries.
I like both of those.
So you could even put your blueberries and cranberries in with your seeds,
Yeah.
couldn't you?
Or on top of my Weetabix.
And on top of your Weetabix with your seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the things, and it says phytoestrogens can interact with estrogen receptors, helping to modulate estrogenic activity. It's a right mouthful. I don't understand it all, but I just think what I do understand is if all of these food types are going to help me get through the menopause and come out of it a healthier, better person, I'm going to start including all of these, because it's not that difficult. I mean, we eat meat, we eat fish. Why not introduce tofu as well?
Yeah.
And I do have split peas and all of this other jazz. So yeah, I can see the benefits in all of that. There is more help, don't worry. So you've got your topical estrogen creams, which you can put directly onto the vagina, but you're putting something different onto your vagina. Steroids. Have you tried these topical estrogen creams?
I have. But actually, I get a cream. Well, I used to, but I didn't think it worked. and it was like in a pessary form, and I had to insert into my vagina.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
But on the outside,
yeah. No, I've not used anything on the outside.
have you thought maybe just to have that discussion as well with your GP about this?
Yeah, I could.
And I'm wondering, I don't know, because you've got this catch-22, haven't you, where the stuff you're using now thins the vulva but reduces the irritation for you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether, to combat the thinning, could you apply the topical estrogen cream first, maybe? Or on the top of? That's worth the discussion. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just wondering whether that might help. This E-string, it's like this round rubber thing that you can use. It is literally rubber, so you can sort of flatten it like this and insert it yourself, or you can get the GP to do that. And this is supposed to help as well with vaginal dryness. But I did read somewhere that although it's really rare, you can get toxic shock syndrome from it.
Okay.
So I just thought, do you know what? If I've read it, there's no point me not saying it. But it does say that although it's been reported, it is really rare. But because it's really rare, there might be somebody out there that's having some of the symptoms and are not aware of the symptoms. But I just think belt and braces, really. So although it's rare, let's have a look at the symptoms, shall we?
Yeah.
So what would you need to be looking out for if you were in toxic shock? Fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle pain, dizziness, fainting, and like a sunburn rash on your face and your body.
Oh.
So, but they're advocating it, so, maybe.
It must be a very low risk then.
Yeah, absolutely, because otherwise they wouldn't be advocating it. But for those people that might be in toxic shock and think I've got a really bad cold or I've got COVID, just be aware. You never know. And then you've got what you've taught, I think you've already mentioned it, localised estrogen. So yours was in the format of a gel.
A cream and a pessary.
A cream and a pessary.
Yeah, it was like a syringe, and I put the cream into it and then just insert it. Yeah.
Well, mine is almost like this, but a bit thinner. It's not as thick. And it is like a syringe. Well, it's not really. I think what we'll do is we'll have a look at a video coming up next. We'll have a look at a video of this thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But literally for me, you just put a tablet in the bottom of it and you press the end of it.
And
the tablet pops inside of you.
As well.
But that one for me, that's the game changer, because that's what's worked.
Hello, I'm Dr. Louise Newton. I'm a GP and menopause specialist working in Stratford-upon-Avon. The underlying cause is due to low estrogen and sometimes also low testosterone levels in the surrounding tissue and the vagina. So it's important to consider ways of replacing that estrogen, because then you're treating the underlying cause. So the commonest way that we do this is using localized estrogen. So localized just means in the vagina. And this is very different to HRT. It is still estrogen, it's still a hormone, but the dose is very, very low. One of the ways that we use a lot is something called Vagifem, which you might have heard of before. It comes as a blue plastic stick. And if I open one, I can show you what it looks like. So it comes with a little plunger, so that this little bit is inserted in the vagina and then it's plunged. And if I press the plunger, this little tablet pops out. It's a very small tablet, and it's like a sort of slow release almost. It goes into the vagina and the surrounding tissues. So it will go into some of the urinary tract as well, so the urethra, which sits just in front of the vagina. It's a very low dose, so it's only 10 micrograms. The lowest dose of a tablet HRT is 1 milligram. So that's 100 times more. So this is 1/100th of the smallest tablet dose of HRT. Now, this is used, we recommend that it's given every day. You insert it every day. Often people insert it in the evening for 2 weeks and then twice a week after that. So if a woman is using it twice a week, so there's 52 weeks in a year, she might forget the odd one. So if we say 50 weeks in the year, then using one of these for 50 weeks means that the overall dose is 1 milligram, which, as I've said, is the lowest dose of a tablet HRT. But we're not using this orally, we're using it vaginally. And because it's worked vaginally, then it doesn't get absorbed into the rest of the body. The first couple of days it might, because you can imagine the lining of the vagina is very thin. So it's very easy then for any hormone to seep out, if you like. But because the estrogen works to build the collagen, to help with the blood supply, to build the wall, to thicken the cells, then it doesn't get absorbed after a few days. In fact, the studies have shown it's the same as placebo. And so this is very important to know, because the estrogen that is used vaginally doesn't get absorbed to the rest of the body. It's not the same as HRT, but it also means that women who've had an estrogen receptor positive breast cancer can still safely use vaginal estrogen. And a lot of doctors don't realise that, a lot of patients don't realise that, a lot of women don't realise that. But the guidelines are clear and the evidence is very much there that we can use vaginal estrogen in women even if they've had an estrogen receptor positive breast cancer or another type of cancer that is estrogen receptor positive, because the dose is low and the absorption into the body is not there. So that should be really reassuring to a lot of you. So this is Vagifem, which is this little tablet.
It does the job. And what they've said is, if you stop taking it, you revert back to a dry vagina.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. You can't heal it. It's never going to get better. It won't get better at all. You might put the pessary in and you're like, I'm fine. Like my GP then took me off it, and the dry vagina, for certain, it came back, because that's what it will do. You've got to be on it for life. You've got to be on this tablet for life. And my GP has no problem with that. She said, if it works for you, Sandra, then stay on it because it's not harmful.
A lot of people think once you get through the menopause and come out the other side, you don't have symptoms, which is true for most symptoms of the menopause. Unfortunately, dry vaginas carry on getting drier as you become older, regardless of what you do. So I see a lot of elderly people who aren't sexually active, but they get a lot of discomfort, irritation, they get a lot of itching, sitting down is uncomfortable, they're going to the toilet more often. They have no idea it's related to a loss of estrogen in that area. And that can really be effectively treated just by using local estrogen. So it's very different to HRT. It doesn't have the same risks, but it can just transform people's lives.
So I think localised estrogen pessaries, and like you've said, the gel, I think can help. Did it help internally for you?
I think it did, but then I can't really say it helped completely because of the other thing that I've got.
Right. So it's difficult for you to know the success of this, because the outside is so painful. So you can use the cream for the outside, for the vulva, and you can use the tablet for the vagina. So there's no reason why you can't have the topical estrogen creams for the outside of the vagina, and you can also have the localized estrogen pessary for the inside of the. So I just think maybe you need a little bit more.
I need to go back
with your GP.
I need not to just think, right, that's it. They've dismissed me.
Yes,
so
that's my life.
I'll put up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I do, and I just think, if you'd be 50% there, wouldn't you, if we could get the vagina right?
Absolutely.
50% would be better than where you're at now.
Yeah.
Because now you've got the soreness of the vulva and you've got the soreness of the vagina. So it's worth a try. It's worth thinking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you, like you say, you've just got to go back to the NHS and say, this steroid that I'm on isn't. It's what it's doing is it's thinning the vulva, and menopausal and I need something that doesn't thin the vulva any more than it is already. But what else is out there? And it might be
And
that
that's
you
the
have to have the
discussion I
injection.
need to have, to see what the alternative is.
And I think explore as well what the alternatives might be for you if you went privately, because it might be because on here, when I was doing this research, I researched some other stuff that might be of interest to you. In the research that I did, they talked about laser vaginal rejuvenation. So has anyone talked to you about laser treatment?
No.
Well, I think what we're gleaning from just you and I chatting is that the doctors don't know everything, and sometimes the specialists will only tell you what they can do to help you because that's all they've got funding for. But it doesn't mean to say that if you went privately, if you went privately, there could be more that could be done. But you're not being told that on the NHS because they can't do that for you. And I mean, if you could get rid of this and went privately, and if it was, I'm not saying it is, I don't know, but if you could have this laser rejuvenation, whatever that is, it's worth exploring.
It is worth exploring.
It is worth
definitely.
exploring. Right, so this is really important. How do you wash your vulva?
Well, I shower every morning.
Yeah.
And just I use that, oh god, what's it called? It's orange, it's in an orange Vagisil. Is it called that?
Oh, it is. I've seen
Vagisil?
Vagisil, isn't it?
Yeah, I use
Vagisil.
that.
And has that been prescribed, or is
No,
that
it's
off
just
the shelf?
that's what I use off the shelf.
Right,
because
okay.
it's not got a lot of perfume in it, and it's quite kind, and it doesn't make me sting.
Right, yeah, okay, because this really surprised me, actually, because I was listening to Dr. Louise Newton, and she said, ideally, what you should be doing is washing your vulva with water only. It's self-cleaning.
So,
Did you know that?
no.
Yeah. The vulva is self-cleaning. I mean, I don't really get that, because I think, well, if it is, it's not doing a very good job then.
No, because there's an odour.
There is an odour, but she advocates just washing it with warm water. It's got to be free from your detergent, so your wash powders, anything that you're doing your washing with, has to be free from scents. So it has to be for sensitive skin. Do you do that?
No.
So your clothes shouldn't be
actually,
washed in a detergent.
I do use I do use detergent, but I use Fairy, and that's quite gentle, isn't it?
Yeah, but not gentle enough.
No.
For you. Especially you.
Yeah. No, it's not, is it?
So,
But I don't just wash, I wash the whole family's clothes, so...
But it wouldn't matter, would it? Because, at the end of the day, it would only matter if you were using a detergent that brought your family out in a rash.
Yeah.
But this is about making your rash better for you. They're not going to notice anything. As long as their clothes smell nice and are clean and are washed, ironed and put back in the rooms, they're not going to know what wash powder you're using. But your vulva does. Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
The things that we're not thinking about. So already
and
we've
it's
got
common
quite
sense
a lot of
as
stuff
well,
here.
isn't it? And we're not thinking about it.
Well, because we're doing 101 things and we're not our priority, are we?
No.
Our family is our priority. That's where we put all our energy. And I think that's probably where we go wrong as well, because we're not thinking about the menopause and does enough. And you know what? When we do, it's a minefield. There's information just all over the place. And then we're afraid to even mention things like, I've got a sore vagina. I mustn't say that. It's taboo. I feel a bit ashamed. Everyone's having sex all over the place. That's this high mile or whatever when you're on an aeroplane everybody's at it, and you think, actually, in reality, everybody's not all at it.
Well,
at all.
when I went to the hospital once. It was before Vanessa Feltz had split up with a partner, and she says, "I'm 60, whatever she was, and now I'm having sex all over the place." And I was watching telly thinking, "I'm jealous."
Yeah. Well, you would be jealous.
Well,
And so would a lot of other women.
Initially, you think you're jealous, but then when it comes down to it, you think, "I can't be bothered."
Well, do you really want to? I
It's
mean,
a bit
it's the
like
big
going to the
effort,
gym.
isn't it?
It's a bit like going to the gym,
It
though,
is,
isn't
yeah.
it? Once you've been,
Yeah.
or once you've had sex, you think,
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that, actually. It was a bit of an effort, but I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you don't want to hear everybody else going on about it
No.
either, do you? I feel like that's not healthy, and I don't feel that if I started to Google it and I looked statistically at this, I think it's nonsense. I don't think we're all at it and all having a great time. That's not the case. And it reminds me a little bit of Facebook. What do we project on Facebook? The best time of our lives. But I have been into people's homes and thought, well, this doesn't really reflect your Facebook page.
Yeah.
You're right boring and miserable. What's all that about? And I come away and I think, oh, that's not mirroring the person that I thought you actually was. I post stuff. I only post the great stuff. I only post how wonderful my life is. I've gone out to a great restaurant. I've had a lovely meal. I'm having a glass of wine. I'm on my paddle board. I've got loads of mates. I spend most of my time in this house and I'm cooking, cleaning. I go and put the washing on. I do my menopause stuff. But I don't post that on Facebook.
No.
So people,
That's the best bit.
they're not, that Facebook for me, I think should come with a warning. This isn't people's best lives. It's a section of what they do, but it's not everything that they do. That I'm starting to wonder about Facebook. Especially if you're lonely or you're menopausal and you're struggling and everybody else is having sex, and we need a reality check. And I think it's not a good thing. I think come off Facebook, don't read other people's great lives, because they're not always what they seem to be. They're not. When we need that reality check before people go and commit suicide because they've got the worst life on the planet and everybody else is having fun. I do think we need to think about what we post. And my daughter and a load of these teenagers are all on this. Is it like be true? Be true to yourself. Be true. So, like once a day, you
Be real.
be real. That's it.
My kids have all got that.
So if you're putting the washing on, you've got to do like the picture of your washing going on and what you actually look like
in that moment.
Yeah. And I think, there's something in, because when she first said she was doing that, I was like, oh, what a load of rubbish. And I just think, because this person has committed suicide, I think now actually be real is what I'd like to see more of.
Yeah.
People like you and I actually being real and saying, this is a real issue, this is what's going on out there. I'm looking at the camera because I'm thinking I don't want to keep you too much longer. Let's look at that. We have got a lot to say. Cotton pants, we've already talked about that. Keep hydrated, we've already talked about that. Probiotics, by the way, apparently. Yeah, probiotics are really good. Vaginal moisturisers, do you use those?
Yeah, I have a little bottle at the side of my toilet.
Fantastic. And how often do you use that?
When I remember.
There you go. What I'm going to say to you is, it only works if you apply it 2 or 3 times a day, every day. 2 or 3 times a day.
Wow.
It's a big ask, I know. But if you want this to get right, you've got quite a way to go, Amanda, with some strategies here. Look, we've got vaginal moisturisers, and I wanted to talk to you about those actually, because it says that the 2 key ingredients for moisturisers, did you know vitamin E is one of them? So when you look at your bottle, when you you've got even more to do now. I'm just giving you more work.
Homework.
Go and have a look at what's on it and look at the percentage of how much vitamin E you're getting. And you might not even be getting any in there, but you need to have a look at what percent. You need the highest percentage of what's in that bottle. If it's not in that bottle at a high percentage, you need to be looking for something better. But so it's an antioxidant and it plays a part in cell metabolism. Don't know, but anyway, I get it because it sounds good. And then I don't know how you say this. Hyaluronic. Is that it?
Yeah.
So hyaluronic acid, because it has the ability to retain high numbers of water molecules and form a moisturising film.
And I'm just wondering if this water-based film could act as a barrier, or would act as a barrier, and could protect us a little bit more. I don't know, but it's now time to look at water-based lubricants.
So these natural ones that Dr. Louise Newton is talking about is the jojoba, coconut oil, aloe vera, and this vitamin E that I've talked to you about. So they also need to be water-based and glycerine-free. Did you know that?
I knew about the water-based, but not glycerine-free.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully there's some things that might just help you here today. Yeah. I think just to sum up, one of the things that I would like to say is that you're never too old to go on HRT or to go on the pessaries. And Dr. Louise Newton has said that people at her clinic that are 60, 70 and even 80 years of age have actually gone on HRT and have the benefits of it. And even if you don't go on HRT and it's just literally your vagina, then go on the pessary. Even if you're 60, 70, 80, get on the pessary. And that just, it's an absolute 100% game changer, because I know I've been on it. Well, I mean, I can't thank you enough for your honesty.
Oh,
and coming here. Well done. On this help thing, I would recommend this Dr. Louise Newton's YouTube. Have a look at that because it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's called Vagina, Dryness and Menopause Related Urinary Symptoms. It's not that long. I found it so helpful. I think she's just brilliant. She sums everything up so well. She's also got a couple of books out that I'm going to recommend, and one of them is The Definitive Guide to the Perimenopause and the Menopause. And then she's got a new later one called The Menopause. All you need to know in one concise manual. If you haven't got this,
I'm going to get that.
This is so good, so good. She's just so honest, and the way she writes it is just brilliant. I love it. And a lunchmate of ours, forgot to tell you all as well, this is how we know each other. We're lunchmates on Steph's Packed Lunch, so this is how we met one another. But another one of our lunchmates, Claire Sparrow, do you know her?
Yeah.
Claire, she's just had an international bestseller overnight. She's written a book and it just hit the market, and it's just, she's an international bestseller, and it literally happened overnight.
Amazing.
I know. Well, this one, maybe have a look at this one. It's called Hope for Your Pelvic Floor. I don't know whether I'm going to have time for it, but she gives 6 practical principles to restore your pelvic health and reclaim your life. Well, she's talking about reclaiming your pelvic health, not just your pelvic floor. So that one might be an interesting book for you.
It might,
because it's your pelvic health, not just your pelvic floor. Give me 5. Yay! We're done!
Thank you.
Thank you!
Please remember, I'm not medically qualified to give advice. I'm here to signpost and raise awareness. All information provided in this series will be relevant and up to date when posted. If you have any concerns about your physical or mental well-being, please contact a medically qualified practitioner.
I know, look at me. My boobs always look like they're drooping down here. I hate it because I never wear a bra. I don't like wearing. No, I hate bras. I hate wearing bras.
Well, my boobs would be down to my knees if I didn't wear a bra.
I saw this fantastic, like a clip. It was on Facebook, I think. But it was these elderly people in a care home, and they were all playing that game with the circles on the floor. What's it called? Twister.
Oh, yeah.
They were all playing Twister, and somebody went, "That's cheating." And I had to really look at the picture because these elderly people were down. But this poor woman had both their boobs on 2 of the colours, and I was like, "Oh, I get that!" And I was like, "Oh, that's me." Twister. I love that.